Hello, everybody, and welcome back. As today we're going to finish off the sorry guys, wires here everywhere. Picture from yesterday, which was the Nightmare Before Christmas, and yesterday was a sketching stage. And again, I do apologise that the first stream didn't come up and it wasn't available to watch purely because there was too much copyright because I was listening to the actual film and all the songs were playing in the background. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to broadcast that one, but I did come back and did the one afterwards. So I did show you all the stage that we got to here and how to actually get here, because I redid it all in pencil because we did the basic sketch, and I thought it needed more detail. So I thought, why not do that as the first video wasn't available for you guys to watch. So go and check that one out if you want to see how I drew this picture and what sort of process it took to get to here, as well as what other things that like shading, because we've obviously got a little less shading here for the for around the light, because I will be coloring this. Some of this will be in pencil and some of this will be in my markers, as always. Check out those markers because they're weird ones. They've got two ends, and one's a thin and one's meant to be a brush pen, but they kind of failed. But you'll see those later, maybe in tomorrow's video. It depends on how long this will take me today, because I actually went out and got myself some new inking pens. And again, it's another 0.7 black pen, fine line, Uniball. It is an absolute amazing pen. I was trying to look for some artist pens, but I went to my local supermarket and I thought I was getting some bread and things before starting the stream today, because obviously got on my dinner. And I thought, oh, why not have a look at it for pens? And I found 3 of these, and they weren't too bad. Pricely, I won't tell you where I got them guys from, but the price wasn't extortionate, but it's definitely worth looking around if you can't go to the local art shop, to just sort of find other things that or other places. They also sell decent enough artist quality. But before I start drawing and use this pen, which hopefully won't run out like it did in the last one. I was kind of scratching the page. We're going to listen to The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it is read out in audio form, or audio book, so we shouldn't get any copyright on this one. So if you guys are watching here now live and you want to watch back again, then all you got to do is hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, and take a look back whenever you can.
Halloween Town's scariest skeleton. I scare people every year, Zero, Jack Skellington said quietly to his dog. It's boring, and I'm tired. On October 31st, everybody in Halloween Town was excited. Halloween night was the most important night of their year, and they were all afraid. Dead people came up from under the ground. Thirsty vampires happily drank a lot of blood. Ugly old witches changed some people into cats and other people into fish. Everybody ran from the skeletons, from the sound of their long, thin arms and legs. Black cats jumped in and out of trash cans. Blackbirds flew through the dark sky with loud, high cries. And Jack Skellington sang his scary songs and danced his dangerous dances. People screamed. They were afraid. They loved it. At the end of the Halloween night, everybody went to the center of town. The mayor of Halloween Town stood in front of them and spoke. Tonight was the best Halloween.
I'm just going to turn the audio off a little bit, guys, because I did have a few complaints from people that it wasn't loud enough. So I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. And if it's too bad, definitely let me know in the comments if you're watching back. And if it's okay for you now live, still let me know in the comment section, because your help is very helpful because I'm live. But once I've watched back, I can't do much about it.
Party in many years, and the hard work of one man made it possible, he said. He turned to the town's greatest skeleton. "Jack, thank you." "It was great, Jack," people shouted. "We loved it. It was wild." "Yes,"
Get in the
the
chair.
mayor said. "We all enjoy Jack's scary songs and dangerous dances. Jack, you're the scariest skeleton in Halloween Town. Thank you for these wonderful celebrations." "No problem," Jack said. But Jack wasn't happy. Every year, he repeated the same songs and dances, and he was bored with Halloween. Of course, he couldn't tell anybody. How could he? The people of the town loved him, and they waited all year for this night. When the mayor started talking about the scariest vampires and witches, Jack walked away quietly. He wanted to think about his future. He walked out of town and past the old churchyard.
Okay,
He
guys.
walked
Right,
past
let's move this
Sally,
camera a little bit so I can
but he didn't see
get
her.
to where I need to be. But,
Sally
we're going to be
was
inking this
also
one.
sad. She watched Jack, and she
And
wanted
so
to
if
follow
you've got
him,
any comments, leave them
but
in
she
the
had to
comment
be
section.
careful.
Otherwise, just
Doctor,
watch and
he didn't
listen.
like it when
and
she
enjoy.
left the house. And when she didn't listen to him, he got very angry. The doctor was a very ugly old skeleton, and he was not a nice man. After his accident, he couldn't walk. He made Sally from old clothes because he wanted a strong young woman in his house. Her clothes were not very pretty, but she had beautiful long red hair. The doctor could move around in his chair, but Sally had to cook for him. She cleaned for him and did everything in the house. Her life was boring, and she really wanted to run away. She tried to leave many times, but he always caught her. "Why is Jack sad tonight?" Sally thought. "He's the most wonderful man in Halloween Town, and everybody loves him." She listened hard. She could hear Jack's words to his little white dog, Zero. Zero came out from under the ground and flew behind Jack. He was dead, of course, so you could see through him, but he had a funny red nose, and it shone in the dark. "I scare people every year, Zero," Jack Skellington said quietly to his dog. "It's boring, and I'm tired. I don't want to hear another scream. Why do I do it?" "Now I understand. He's bored," Sally thought sadly. "He wants to change his life, and I want to change mine too." She looked around the churchyard. "I'll take some of those flowers," she thought. "I'll put them in the doctor's drink again tonight, so he'll sleep. But this time, when he's sleeping, I'll run away. I'll find Jack, and maybe he'll go with me. We'll be free." A sound came through the trees from a long way away. "Sally, where are you?" It was the doctor, and he was very angry. "I'm coming," Sally shouted. Chapter 2. A Door to a New World. "Nobody is afraid here," Jack thought. "They aren't screaming. Nobody's dead." Jack walked through the churchyard and into the dark woods. His head was down, and his eyes were on the ground. He walked for a long time, and he thought about his future, without much hope. After almost 2 hours, he stopped and looked around him. His eyes opened wide. "Where am I?" What is this? He asked Zero. Jack was in the middle of some very large trees, and each tree had a beautiful door in it. On the doors were strange pictures, and each door was different. One of the doors had a green tree with decorations on it. Of course, it was a Christmas tree, but Jack didn't know anything about Christmas trees. One door had a pretty egg with yellow flowers on it. It was the Easter door, but Jack knew nothing about Easter. The Thanksgiving Day door had a very big bird with a small head. Jack liked the door with the green tree and pretty decorations, so he moved nearer. But before he could put his hand on the door, it opened. A strong, cold winter wind pulled him inside the tree, and the door closed quickly. He screamed, but only Zero heard, and Zero couldn't help. The little dog stayed under the tree and waited all night. The cold winter wind took Jack to a new and wonderful place. Here, everything was white, and it was very cold. Jack knew nothing about snow, and he took some in his hand. What is this? He thought. He made a ball and threw it, and then he laughed happily. He stood on the top of a mountain, and he looked down at a pretty little town. It was very different from Halloween Town. There were beautiful lights on the houses and decorations on the trees. People moved happily across the ice on strange long shoes. They laughed and sang. Nobody is afraid here, Jack thought. They aren't screaming. Nobody's dead. Jack felt very happy, too. This is the prettiest place in the world, he thought. Then he looked up, and he saw the name of this place above the street. Christmas Town. That's a funny name for a place, he thought, but I think I'm going to like it here. Jack started to move down the mountain. He didn't know anything about snow or ice, of course, so when he started to walk, his feet flew out from under him. He moved on his bottom as fast as a river down a mountain. This is very funny, he thought. Maybe they're inviting me to Christmas Town. I hope they are. This place is great. At the bottom of the mountain, he sat for a minute and looked at the beautiful world in front of him. He felt happy and warm inside. Then he stood up. He looked up at the sky and laughed. I want to see everything here, he thought. I want to run and jump. I want to sing and dance. I'm not an old dead skeleton without feelings. I'm living again. But what happens in this place? I'm going to look around. It was morning in Halloween Town, and the mayor stood outside Jack's house. He wanted to start making plans for next year's celebrations. There were only 364 days before Halloween. But Jack didn't open his door. The mayor shouted. There was no answer. There were some vampires in the street, so he asked them about Jack. We'll try to find him for you, Mayor, they said. The vampires asked witches and skeletons around town. Where's Jack? Do you know? We don't know, but we'll help you, they said. Later that day, everybody knew. Jack was not in Halloween Town. But where was he? Nobody leaves Halloween Town. Chapter 3. Jack's Christmas Plans. "Do toys scare little boys?" asked an ugly old witch. Jack thought, they'll never understand Christmas. On the night of December 24th, the night before Christmas, everybody in Christmastown was very happy. Santa Claus came on this night every year with toys for good girls and boys. At 9 o'clock, most of the children were in their beds, and the youngest were asleep. But a lot of older children couldn't sleep because they were very excited. So they closed their eyes and waited for the sound of Santa Claus's feet. Jack Skellington walked around the town and looked through the windows of the pretty little houses. He saw the children in their beds, and he could see a Christmas tree in every house. Each tree had beautiful red and green decorations on it, and pretty lights. He loved everything in this place. Suddenly, he had a great idea. "I'm going to go back to Halloween Town," he thought. "I've got a great plan." Sally was busy in her kitchen with the flowers for the doctor's drink. "He'll sleep a long time after he drinks this," she thought. "Where's my drink?" the doctor shouted from another room. "It's almost ready," Sally shouted. She took it to him and watched carefully. He put his nose near the cup. "What did you put in my drink tonight?" he asked her. "I put some hot water, some milk, some sugar." "You didn't put any flowers in it, I hope," said the old man. "You did that to me before. I remember. You wanted to run away. I remember that, too." "Flowers? You are funny," said Sally. "Drink it, and then I'll bring your dinner." "I want you to drink some first," he said. "It's very hot, so I'll take a little on my spoon," she said. Sally took a spoon with holes in it from her skirt. She put the cup near her mouth and used the spoon. The drink fell through the holes and back into the cup. The old man's eyes were not very good, so he didn't see it. "Very nice," said Sally. "Now you drink it." She gave him the cup, and the doctor drank it. Then he fell asleep with his head on the table. Sally put a warm jacket over him, and she ran out the door. It was late at night, but nobody in Halloween Town was asleep. They were very sad about Jack. Where was he? The witches didn't scream, and the vampire children didn't want to play. Everything was quiet. The mayor was the saddest because he couldn't plan the next Halloween without Jack. Suddenly, he heard a dog. "Listen, is that Zero?" shouted the mayor. Then another sound, a strange sound, came from behind the large doors in the wall around Halloween Town. When the doors opened, Jack arrived in a big red sleigh. Zero flew behind him, and his big red nose lit the way. The witches, skeletons, and vampires jumped up and down and laughed. Everybody shouted, "Jack's back!" "Jack, where were you?" asked the mayor. "I'll tell you. I'll tell everybody," Jack said loudly. "I want everybody in town to come here in 2 hours. Sally was in the woods when she heard about Jack from one of the witches. She wanted to listen to Jack, so she went back into town. The doctor's asleep, so I have time, she thought. In the center of town, Jack stood on a box in front of the witches, skeletons, and vampires. A lot of small black animals flew around excitedly. I want to tell you about a wonderful place. Its name is Christmas Town, Jack said.
Christmas Town? What's that?
Some witches asked. It's a world of wonderful white snow. It's a beautiful place, a happy place. Look at this, Jack said. He showed them a Christmas tree. Everybody's eyes opened wide. And look, this is a present, he shouted. He took a box with pretty paper from under the tree and showed it to them. What is it? An ugly old vampire asked. He had a very white face, very black hair, and a very red mouth. A present is a box with pretty paper around it, and inside, Jack said slowly.
What's inside?
Called a witch. We don't know, Jack answered.
Don't know? Why not?
The people of Halloween Town didn't understand. Quickly, Jack took off the paper and opened the box. Inside, there's a toy, said Jack. He showed them a child's toy. A boy? That is strange, said one of the skeletons. Not a boy, a toy, shouted Jack.
Do toys scare little boys?
Asked an ugly old witch. Jack thought, they'll never understand Christmas. Then he had a good idea. Maybe they'll understand this. He looked at each of them very carefully, and he spoke quietly and slowly. There's a very old man in Christmas Town, Jack said. He's big and round with long white hair. His clothes are red, and he flies through the night sky in a big red sleigh. He shouts loudly and laughs. They call him Santa Claus. He puts presents under Christmas trees inside every house. When the children wake up in the morning, they find them. Then they open them. Everybody was excited when Jack finished his story. They were a little scared, too, and that was good. Jack left and went home. How can I tell them about Christmas? He thought. I have to find a better way. First, I have to understand. Later that night in his bed, Jack looked in a lot of books. He read Christmas stories and he found Christmas songs. But what were they really about? Maybe the doctor can help me, Jack thought. Maybe his chemicals will teach me more about toys, decorations, and Christmas trees. I'll go to his house and discuss everything with him in the morning. Chapter 4. Chemicals for Jack. Sally thought, what does this mean? Does Jack love me or not? Or is something bad going to happen? Sally's drink for the doctor didn't work very well. It wasn't very strong, so the doctor woke up after 3 hours. He could move fast in his chair, and he found Sally. He took her back home and put her in her room at the top of the old house.
You won't do that to me again,
the doctor shouted angrily. It was a mistake, she said. She thought, why didn't I put more flowers in the drink? How did I make that stupid mistake? Now she was in her room and couldn't get out. Jack arrived in the morning. Sally heard him from her room. Why is Jack here? She thought. She tried to listen to the conversation between the doctor and Jack. She couldn't hear Jack very well, but she heard the doctor.
Take these chemicals, Jack, but be careful. They're very dangerous. I made a mistake one time, and look at me in this chair.
Jack took the bottles of chemicals and went home. He opened some of the bottles. Very carefully, he put them over fire. He put a toy boat into the bottle of green chemicals. He put the bottle over the fire and watched. Nothing happened. Then he cut some Christmas paper and put it into some red chemicals. Again, nothing happened. He worked for hours, but he didn't learn very much about Christmas. What will happen when I put decorations into these chemicals? Jack thought. He put some in, and a green light shone. From Sally's window, she saw the green light in Jack's window. She wanted to go to him and help him. She felt something strange inside, a happy and sad feeling. For the first time in her life, she felt love. She really was in love with Jack. I want to be his wife, Sally thought. How can I get away from the doctor? I can't stay here. Sally stood at her window for a long time, without much hope. I have to help Jack, she thought. So she made a present for him. She put some dry flowers, some black vegetables, and some green water into a bottle. With the bottle in her hand, she stood at her open window and looked down. It was a long way to the ground, but she wasn't afraid. She jumped. When she hit the ground, one of her arms fell off. Not again, she said, but she took the arm with her other hand and put it on again very quickly. Then she ran to Jack's house as fast as she could. She stood under his window and looked up. At that same minute, Jack looked down. When their eyes met, he smiled. Suddenly, he felt really happy. But why? He couldn't understand. Sally put her bottle into his mailbox and ran away. She couldn't stay and talk to him. She wanted to, but she couldn't. Sally was a quiet girl, and she never said very much to anybody. Jack watched her and felt warm inside. When she was near the walls of the town, Sally sat down. He smiled at me, she thought excitedly. There was a pretty flower next to her, and she pulled it out of the ground. She began to pull off the petals and to repeat these words. He loves me, she said. She pulled off the second petal. He loves me not, she said. She did this again and again. Strangely, The flower in her hand began going around and around very fast. It changed into a beautiful, small Christmas tree with pretty lights. Then, suddenly, the little Christmas tree was on fire. There was nothing in her hand. She sat there in the cold, dark night for a long time, tried to understand. What does this mean? She thought. Does Jack love me or not? Or is something bad going to happen? Are Jack's plans for Christmas a big mistake?
Oh, there seems to be a problem with the audio. But hopefully you've enjoyed it so far. I'll just go and check that a second. It's probably just a playing issue, or the stereo may have unplugged. Yeah, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this so far. You've enjoyed the story. I know I have. It's inspired me quite a lot, actually, to get a lot of little details that I couldn't get with pencil. But with my new pen, it seems to be doing a lot better. I've managed to get all of this done, and eventually I will rub out all the pencil, apart from the shading I put here, because I kind of like that. But bear with me, guys. I'm just going to sort out some audio.
He saw three strange children in very... Chapter 7. Big Mistakes. Santa wanted to ask, "What does trick or treat mean?" But they put up one last thing, Jack said to the boys. "Don't tell Oogie Boogie. I don't want him to know anything." And again, strangely, the flower in her hand began going around and around. Anything. "Of course, Jack," the three trick-or-treaters said. "We won't say a word to Oogie Boogie about this." They ran away with big smiles on their faces. Were they happy about Jack's important job? Or did they have other plans? Did Jack do the right thing? Or did he make a big mistake? "This is going to be wonderful," thought Jack. "This is the happiest day of my life. Those three trick-or-treaters are going to do something good for the first time in their lives, and this time there'll be no tricks." Everybody in Halloween Town wanted to help with his Christmas plans. Nothing could be better. But Christmas was now in dangerous hands. Jack's three young helpers had a very different idea about Christmas in Halloween Town, so the nightmare before Christmas was beginning. Lock, Shock, and Barrel loved nightmares as much as they loved tricks. When they got to their home at the top of a big tree, they started planning their trick on Jack. "Jack is a stupid skeleton," they laughed. Lock said, "He wants us to go to Christmas Town and get Santa Claus? We'll bring Santa back here, but we won't give him to Jack. We'll scare him with our tricks." Shock was more intelligent than Lock, and he had a better idea. "Listen, we'll get Santa Claus, and put him in our biggest Halloween bag, said Shock. We'll bring him here and show him to Jack. But then we'll give him to Oogie Boogie. Oogie will really enjoy that big fat man for his dinner. Great, shouted Beryl. That will teach Jack Skellington a lesson. The three trick-or-treaters laughed and danced around the room. Then they got busy with their plan. Chapter 7. Big Mistakes. Santa wanted to ask, "What does trick-or-treat mean?" But they put a big bag over his head before he could ask his question. Not one witch, vampire, or skeleton in Halloween Town could say no to Jack. When he asked for happy music, he got it. When he asked for cakes, decorations, and toys, he got them. But when he asked Sally for some red clothes, she didn't want to make them. She wasn't happy about Jack's plan. She thought about the Christmas tree on fire in her hand, and she felt afraid. "Jack, listen to me," Sally said. "This isn't going to work." "Yes, it is. You can do it. I only want a wonderful red Santa Claus jacket and some red pants," Jack answered happily. He could think of nothing but his clothes for Christmas. "I'll make them for you, Jack, but I think it's a mistake," she said sadly. Sally could make clothes very well, and she did a very good job on Jack's new red pants and jacket. When she finished her work, she left his house. She walked to the center of town. Jack's next visitors were Lock, Shock, and Beryl. They arrived with a very big Halloween bag, but they did not have candy inside the bag this time. "Jack, we caught him," they shouted. "Open it. Let's see him," said Jack excitedly. But when the three boys opened the bag, Jack's eyes and mouth opened wide. He did not see an old man in red clothes. He saw an animal with very long ears. It jumped out of the bag and ran around the room, up and down, up and down. "What's that?" Jack asked. "It's not Santa Claus." "Isn't it?" asked Shock. "But we went through the door in the tree," said Lock. "Which door?" asked Jack. "The door with the egg and the yellow flower," said Beryl. "You went through the wrong door," Jack said. "Go back and go through the door with the Christmas tree on it. And take this thing back to its tree." "It was Lock's mistake," said Shock. "It was Beryl's mistake," said Lock. The angry words turned into a fight. Shock hit Lock, and Beryl hit Shock. Jack watched them for a minute or two. Then he moved very quickly and scared them with the sound of his skeleton arms. Usually, he only did that on Halloween night. The boys, afraid, jumped and ran out of the door. The animal with the long ears followed them. "Take that thing back to its tree and bring Santa Claus here," Jack shouted behind the three trick-or-treaters. "And be nice to Santa." When they were in the woods again, Shock turned to his friends. "How did we make that mistake?" he asked. "When I saw the egg and flower on the tree's door," Lock said slowly. Shock said, "You shouted decorations And we went inside, you stupid boy. Everybody in Halloween Town was very busy, and Jack watched them happily. The doctor came with his reindeer, and they were almost as big as horses. In Christmas Town, Santa Claus was busy too. His helpers' beautiful toys were almost ready. He looked at the names of the children in Christmas Town. He had a present for each child. Are the cakes ready, Mrs. Claus? He called to his wife. In the kitchen, Mrs. Claus smiled. She loved cakes, and she enjoyed her job on the night before Christmas very much. Here comes the last one, she shouted happily. Santa Claus said, I'm going to get the reindeer. They have to pull a very heavy sleigh tonight, so I'll give them more food and water. Good idea, his wife said. Suddenly, there was a loud noise at their front door. Who's that? Santa shouted to his helpers. But his helpers were singing loudly and happily in the next room, so they didn't hear him. I'll answer the door, he called to his wife. When he opened it, he saw 3 strange children in very strange dark clothes. Trick or treat, they shouted. Santa wanted to ask, what does trick or treat mean? But they put a big bag over his head before he could ask his question. From inside the bag, he shouted for his wife and helpers, but they didn't hear him. Chapter 8. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Okay, guys, I'm going to pause the audio there. It seems like we've got a good story to listen to. Again, it's an audio book, and the link to it will be down below. If it's not, let me know in the comment section. But that's the inking stage done, and hopefully I've done it justice because I've put a little bit more detail than I did when I did it in pencil. But the shading's obviously going to stay there. I will get rid of a lot of the construction lines, but most of the shading will stay. But let's give you a zoom in quickly. There's Jack and his Santa hat. And then obviously his body. I got a little bit, a few lines on his beard there. Actually, I can zoom this camera in a little bit. There we go. Like I was saying, it's Jack and his Santa hat and things, and the candles, and I'm kind of proud of that candle actually. And the bookcase, which has got a few books on, as it was saying in the story. But obviously you've got stockings and the fireplace and such behind. And as we go up, we've got a little boy that he's giving a present to because he's playing as Santa. You'll find out a little bit more about that further on down the story when he gives his first gift to a child. And oh my goodness, the thing you find in that box is not quite what you think. But we've got the tree there, and I've just sort of outlined everything now. So we're pretty much ready to do some colouring, but I'm going to leave that for another video and say thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed the story. Don't forget, if you hit subscribe and ding the bell, you will know when when I go live again very soon. Tomorrow, more than likely. Now it will be around about the same time, if not a bit earlier, if not a bit later. I can't do much later, but I'm going to end it here now and come back and do some shading. Finish some shading on here. I could do some shading now, but I've kind of already done that. But I'll quickly get rid of some of the construction lines here before I go, just so you can see the difference between inking and such things. Just give me a second. I'll find my rubber. Get rid of all the construction lines. I also am going to be taking a picture on my tablet here. I'm going to get rid of some of these construction lines. Before I get rid of everything, though, I will take a picture on my tablet here. So then when I go to the third, fourth and fifth side of this, I will then digitize it with my free app called Critter. If you guys want to check some of the other videos out and you want to know where I get the app, again, it's completely free. You can ask for a link down below, which I will supply. Again, if I haven't put it down there, give me a shout and I will put that one there for you. Let's get the camera quickly before I get rid of all of these construction lines. But this is generally how I do it, guys. That thing gets in the way. That's my hand. I'm still making it very dark. I'm going to have to move out the light quickly. Get rid of this. But this is how I transfer my pictures that are on paper. I can scan them into a photocopy and things like that, but don't always have one available. So this is how I do it normally without, may have to take a picture without all cameras being here, but I take a picture on my tablet. That's not good enough one. Trying not to have my hands in there. There we go. Taking a picture. And I will take that then over to my free app called Critter. Again, hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so you know when I've uploaded those, because they will not be live. They will be out over the next few days and over the weekend, as I'm trying to get some videos, but give you guys still something to watch while I'm away on my break for Christmas. But there are many different other videos. I don't just do Christmas things. I do a whole lot of different videos. So there's superheroes, there's all sorts of different things, guys. So don't forget to check out the playlists and other videos up on the wall over the Christmas period, and let me know what you want in the new year, because I would take requests and also work with people. If you have videos that you want something, say if you read, I wouldn't mind a video to put over my own, like I have in the background of this video. If you guys would like me to have that done for you, then just sling one up, link down below, or come over to Instagram, Blut084, BLUT084. Art and games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. There we have it. The difference between all the construction lines and removed. But tomorrow we will add some color, some more shading to this, add actual shading, so you guys can see what I can do with pencils and different coloring implements. As this video is coming up to 50 minutes, I want to say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you do, and I'll see you next time. My name has been Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games, here every day on YouTube, occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. So guys, keep tuned in next time for the video of this being colored in and shaded, and all the other different techniques that I will surely use, and the rest of the Nightmare Before Christmas in the background audio. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you know when I've uploaded the digital versions. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Click the links and I'll see you again.